Welcome to 21st Sports Recap and Reaction for the Kansas City Royals of the New York Mets in Game 5 of the World Series. And we're going to go over every at-bat and the stats and give our breakdown and analysis. And heading into this game, the Royals were up 3-1 with a chance to win this series in 5. The Mets, facing elimination, were looking to force this one back to Kansas City. As the Royals had won the first 2 games at home, the Mets won Game 3, and then the Royals won Game 4. And here in Game 5, on the mound for New York, Matt Harvey, and on the mound for Kansas City, Edinson Volquez. So starting out in the top of the first, Harvey would strike out Escobar. Then he got Zobrist to fly out. Lorenzo Cain reached on a single. Cain would steal second, but Hosmer would strike out, and that would do it for the first. So now on to the bottom half of the first, and the leadoff hitter for the Mets, Curtis Granderson, went deep, 416 feet to right center, and it was 1-0 Mets after one at-bat. And so then Volquez settled down. He struck out David Wright and Daniel Murphy, and then got Cespedes to ground out. And that did it for the first, but not after Granderson had put the first run on the scoreboard. So now at the top of the second, Harvey would end up letting Moustakas reach on an error. Of course, it wasn't Harvey's fault. It was David Wright who had the error, and Moustakas reached first. Perez then grounded out, Gordon flew out, and Rios grounded out, and Harvey was out of the inning, and we were on to the bottom of the second. Volquez would walk Duda, but then he got d'Arnaud to ground into a double play and struck out Conforto, and that did it for the second. So now in the third, Harvey would allow Volquez to reach on a single, but then Escobar grounded into a double play, and Zobrist flew out. So now at the bottom of the third, Volquez would set down the side in order. He's got Flores to foul out. Harvey grounded out, and he struck out Granderson. So Granderson went deep his first at-bat, and Volquez gets him swinging in his second at-bat, and we're on to the fourth. And in the fourth inning, Matt Harvey, he would set down the side in order, but he did it by striking out all 3 batters as he struck out Cain, Hosmer, and Moustakas. We were headed to the bottom of the fourth. Volquez would strike out David Wright, and then he walked Daniel Murphy, and then Cespedes grounded into a double play. So now to the top of the fifth, Harvey would strike out Perez, he would walk Gordon, he struck out Rios, and then struck out Volquez, as he got 3 strikeouts in the fifth, just as in the fourth. Of course, he did have the walk, though. But in the bottom of the fifth, Volquez would walk Duda, then he got d'Arnaud to fly out, he got Conforto to ground out, Flores was intentionally walked, and then Harvey grounded out. So now to the top of the sixth, Escobar would ground out, Zobrist would reach on a single, Cain struck out, and Hosmer grounded out. And now to the bottom of the sixth, Granderson would lead off by drawing a walk, and then Wright hit a single, so now you had 2 on, no out for Murphy. Murphy would reach on an error by Hosmer, and so now you had the bases juiced for Yoenis Cespedes. Cespedes would pop out, and he would end up leaving the game as he was visibly hurt. And so then, after popping out, Duda came to the plate, and Duda hit a sac fly. Granderson tagged up, and he scored, and it was 2-0 Mets over the Royals. d'Arnaud would ground out, and that would do it for the sixth, but not after the Mets had added a run to their score to extend their lead to 2. So now at the top of the seventh, Moustakas would lead off with a single, but then Harvey would get Perez to pop out, Gordon flew out, and Rios grounded out. So now the 7th inning stretch, and to the bottom of the 7th, Herrera now on the mound for Kansas City in relief of Volquez, and he would let up a leadoff single to Conforto. Flores then grounded into a double play, and Harvey grounded out, and we were on to the 8th. And in the 8th inning, Matt Harvey still on the mound, and he set down the side in order. He's got Orlando to fly out, Escobar popped out, and Zobrist flew out. So now to the bottom of the 8th, Herrera would set down the side in order as he struck out the side. striking out the 1-2-3 hitters, Granderson, Wright, and Murphy. So now to the top of the ninth, Harvey would come out to pitch the ninth. He was pitching a shutout, and he was going for the complete game shutout for the win. Just 3 outs away from pushing this series back to Kansas City. So the Royals facing a loss here, although up 3-1. They could afford to lose, but they wanted to finish this one out, and the Royals never say die. Lorenzo Cain drew a walk. He then stole second during Hosmer's at-bat. Hosmer then hit a double. That brought in Cain, and it was now 2-1 as the Royals had gotten on the scoreboard. They scored their first run of this game in the top of the ninth inning. So now no outs with Hosmer on second. Cain having come across home. Harvey would be done for the night, and he pitched 8 shutout innings, but did not record an out in the ninth. And here comes Jeurys Familia to try to close this one out with a runner in scoring position and no outs. The score 2-1. Moustakas in the batter's box. He grounds out, but it moves Hosmer over to third. And then into the box steps Salvador Perez. And he was 3 for 4 in Game 4. And here in this situation, he comes up with a really crazy play. He grounds to third. And so it actually was heading really at that shortstop at Flores, but Wright decided to take it. And Wright didn't, force Hosmer back to third. Instead, he threw the ball to first to get Perez out, and Hosmer took off. He was flying down the third base line towards home, and Hosmer scores. So Hosmer scores on a ground out by Perez. I would have thought it would have been an error with the way Duda threw the ball. He overthrew d'Arnaud. There was no chance of d'Arnaud making the tag as the ball ended up almost in the stands. I mean, that thing went flying by him, and Hosmer was safe, and it was tied up at 2 runs apiece. So the Royals entered the ninth down 2-0, and they never say die, and they somehow, someway find a way to tie this game. Harvey had a shutout going, and Familia had been pitching pretty excellent in this series before he ended up blowing that save in Game 4, and then here in Game 5, the Royals come up huge with the clutch walk by Cain, the clutch stolen base, the clutch double by Hosmer, and the clutch base running by Hosmer as Perez, first Moustakas moves him to third, and then Perez moves him across home and gets the RBI. So tied up at 2. Gordon then came to the plate and he grounded out, and that did it for the top of the ninth. And we're headed to the bottom of the ninth as the Mets now had a chance for a walk-off as they could win this game with a run. And Herrera still on the mound for Kansas City, and Herrera gets Lagares to line out. Duda then comes to the plate with a chance for some redemption, but he flew out. d'Arnaud would fly out as well, and that did it for the ninth. So Herrera sets down the side in order, and we're headed to extra innings. Familia still on the mound for the Mets in the top of the 10th, and Familia would set down the side in order. He'd strike out Kendrys Morales, who pinch hit for Herrera. Then he got Orlando to ground out, and he struck out Escobar. So now the bottom of the 10th, Hochevar on the mound for Herrera, and he would get Conforto to fly out, Flores to ground out, Johnson pitch hit for Familia, and he would get him to foul out as he set down the side in order. So now it's to the top of the 11th, Nice in for Familia, and he would get Zobrist to ground out. Cain flew out. Hosmer then reached on a single, and Hosmer would steal second. So now you had a runner in scoring position with a go-ahead run 120 feet from home plate on second base. Moustakas in the batter's box, but he lined out. We're headed to the bottom of the 11th, still tied up at 2. Hochevar still on the mound for Kansas City. You got Granderson to pop out, Wright lined out, and then Daniel Murphy drew a walk. So now you had the winning run on first base, Lagares in the box, and Lagares grounds out, and we're headed to the 12th. So now the top of the 12th, Addison Reed in to pitch for New York in relief of Nice. And so Salvador Perez would be the leadoff man, and he would reach on a single, coming up with a clutch hit. And in came Jarrod Dyson to pinch run for Salvador Perez. And the speedy Dyson would steal second during Alex Gordon's at-bat. Gordon then ground out to first, but that would move Dyson over to third. So now you had the go-ahead run at 90 feet from home, a situation the Royals had been in before. And now you had Colon pinch hit for Hochevar, and this was Colon's first at-bat of the postseason. So Colon steps up in the box, and Colon comes up with the RBI single to bring in Dyson. Colon, the unlikely hero, makes it 3-2, as the Royals are all about teamwork, and they get it done 1 through 9 and on the bench. And they come through with the bench players scoring the run to go ahead in the top of the 12th. Dyson pinch running, Colon pinch hitting, and it's 3-2. And so now Orlando would be up, and he would ground into a fielder's choice. And so then Colon actually reached on an error by Murphy. So Murphy with the error, and now Escobar would end up in the box, and Escobar hit a double. That brought in Colon and moved Orlando to third, and it was now 4-2. Zobrist was then given first base with an intentional walk, and now Bartolo Colon would come in to relieve Reed. So now Lorenzo Cain was up at the plate, and Lorenzo Cain had the bases juiced, and Lorenzo Cain comes up with the double, and in comes Orlando, Escobar, and Zobrist, and it was a 3-run double, and it was now 7-2. As the Royals, when they start going, they don't stop. They keep the hits coming, and they keep the runs on the board. They put numbers on the board, and here in this inning, they score 5 runs. Now Hosmer would ground out and Moustakas would fly out, and that would do it for the 12th. But we were headed to the bottom of, the top half of the 12th. We were headed to the bottom of the 12th, 7-2, as the Mets needed 5 runs to tie this one, or else the Royals would be the champions. And on the mound for Kansas City to close this one out, although it was not a safe situation, Wade Davis, one of the most unhittable and unstoppable pitchers in baseball. So Wade Davis comes in relief of Hochevar, who would pitch 2 scoreless innings of relief himself. And Wade Davis would strike out Duda, and then Wade Davis struck out d'Arnaud. Conforto then reached on a single, and then he ended up on second due to a fielder's indifference. And now Flores up at the plate, and Wade Davis strikes out Flores, looking as he records 3 strikeouts, as the Kansas City Royals win this game 7-2 in amazing fashion. They come from behind. It's their 8th come from behind win of this postseason, the 7th time they've come from behind down by more than 1 run. As they make history, the Royals are champions the first time since '85 when they beat the Cardinals back in the Battle of Missouri. And here they are, champions once again 30 years later. And what a game it was. They just never say die. They never quit. They don't know the definition of the word quit. It's not in their vocabulary. They were down 2-0. Most teams would just lay down and just head back to home for the next game. But not the Royals. They were determined to keep going and win this one on the road. They want to end this series. They did it in 5, and they score 5 in the top of the 12th to seal the deal after scoring 2 runs in the 9th inning to tie it, to send it to extra innings. What an amazing comeback by the Kansas City Royals. What a full team effort up and down the lineup and on the bench. They used 17 players in this game. It was an amazing performance by Kansas City. An amazing series, an amazing postseason by the Royals. They were a team of destiny. They were so close last year, and now the victory is so much sweeter here in 2015 for the Royals, a team that's been together for a long time. Yes, there are some new faces, but the core group has come up, and it's been a long road, and these guys definitely deserve it, as this is a team. They are the definition of a team. They did it with team ball, small ball, Royals ball, aggressive base running, and just getting those hits and just, stealing the bases, moving the runners over, sacrificing. No egos on this team. They are all teammates. They are all together. This is a team for sure. And in this game, the win goes to Hochevar. The loss goes to Reed. And the MVP of the World Series, Salvador Perez, the catcher. And I would have to say that I've always believed that the catcher is the most important position and is the most underrated position probably in all of sports. As the catcher is the only player in baseball that has a full effect on every single at bat on defense, as the catcher calling for the pitches and then also gets to bat. It's basically like the pitcher, but he bats. Whereas the pitcher doesn't bat in the American League, he does bat in the National League, but the pitcher's not an everyday player, whereas the catcher who handles the pitching staff is an everyday player. And Salvador Perez had 8 hits in this World Series. He was 3 for 4 in Game 4. He also had a couple RBIs. And in this game, Lorenzo Cain was 2 for 5. He had 3 RBIs. He had a run scored. Escobar 1 for 6 with a run scored and an RBI. Zobrist 1 for 5 with a run scored. Hosmer 2 for 6 with 1 RBI and a run scored. He came up clutch. Once again, Mr. Clutch. Moustakas 1 for 6. Perez 1 for 5 with an RBI. And then Colon, what a hit by Colon. What a big clutch performance by him, as he batted 1,000 in this postseason. His only at bat, 1 for 1 with an RBI. He also came across the plate. Even Volquez was 1 for 2, as he also got a hit in this game, helping out his own effort there. And just the Kansas City Royals, what a performance. As they ended up once again having they had 6 of the 8 position players reach base out of their starting lineup, as they've been getting the bulk of their lineup on base in every game, and that's how they get it done. Adversely, on the other side, for the Mets, Conforto was the only person who had more than 1 hit, as he had 2 hits, 2 for 5. Granderson 1 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs scored. He led off the game with that home run. He also reached on a walk. And then David Wright 1 for 5, as only 3 of the Mets starters had hits in this game. They only had 4 hits in the game, in this elimination game. Of course, Murphy did have 2 walks, but he was 0 for 3. Duda also walked twice and was 0 for 2. He also had an RBI. But what an incredible game. I mean, this is one that I'll never forget, especially the way that they came from behind in the 9th inning. You thought it was over, and then they tie up the game. And then in the 12th, once they even scored a run, you saw the fans in New York started leaving. The Mets fans were like, yeah, I'm going. And then he just kept scoring and kept scoring. The ballpark started clearing out. And by the time it was over, it was pretty much just Royals fans. But Matt Harvey, what a performance by Matt Harvey. He pitched 8 shutout innings before allowing those 2 earned runs in the 9th. Of course, he was on the mound for the 1 run, but he was on the hook for the tying run, although it was Familia that was on the mound when that run scored. So the 2 earned runs for Harvey, 5 hits, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks. Familia pitched 2 innings, no earned runs, no hits, 2 strikeouts, although he was on the mound when Hosmer came across the plate off of that crazy play with Perez getting that hit that Wright ended up fielding instead of the shortstop. And it wasn't the first time, actually, that the thought had crossed my mind about Tejada not being there, and that maybe they should send Chase Utley a ring. But so then Nice pitched an inning, no earned runs and 1 hit, and then Reed gets the loss with 4 earned runs there in that 12th inning, only recording 1 out, 1/3 of an inning, and 3 hits. And then Colon, 2/3 of an inning, he was not charged any of the runs, and he allowed 1 hit. Volquez, the starter for Kansas City, 1 earned run in 6 innings, 2 hits, 5 walks, 5 strikeouts. Herrera came up huge in this game. 3 innings, no earned runs, just 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. Hochevar, no earned runs, no hits, the 1 walk. Davis, 1 inning pitched, no earned runs, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. As the bullpen allows no earned runs as they pitch 6 innings in relief. So the bullpen comes up huge once again for Kansas City, as they were just amazing all postseason and especially in this World Series. And in this game, there wasn't even any home runs for the Royals. They did have 3 doubles, as Hosmer had a double, Escobar had a double, and so did Cain. And Granderson, of course, did have a home run for the Mets, as he had that leadoff home run in the 1st inning. But the Royals, what an amazing series. They are champions once again. They're partying in Kansas City. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and had a great weekend and enjoyed all the sports.